Welcome to Broadcast Map, the show that covers the world of broadcasting, the Canadian media landscape, sports media, the show's favorite sports teams, as well as news and politics. Here's your host, Ali Musa.
Thank you, Rod Mahood, for the intro there. Good afternoon on Sunday, April the 6th, 2025. Why is it important to exercise your right to vote in Canada? I am joined here by Lily Fredrickson, who is very enthusiastic about this topic, and we'll cover some other stuff as well. Lily, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Ali. Thank you so much for having me on the show so that I can talk about this.
Yeah, it was interesting because your Facebook post kind of caught my attention the other day when I saw it, and I said, "Okay, well, let's have a conversation about it."
Yeah, for sure. So for anybody who is not Facebook friends with me or doesn't follow me, I decided the other day to create a 3-part series on the election. So part 1 covered the history of voter rights in Canada. Part 2 was kind of more of a piece talking about why I feel it counts and why this is a really good election. And part 3 was Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Something appears to have...
Can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Monday. Let's see.
I think we're good. Can you hear me? Yeah, for those on the live stream, just hang tight here.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can. Yeah, I could
so
hear
sorry,
you.
my
I was
internet
able to hear you. I think you
internet.
couldn't hear me. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, I could not.
Can you hear me now?
I can now.
All right. So go ahead. So start back at part
I can,
3.
yes.
Yeah, go ahead. So just kind of start back at part 1 there.
Of course. So a few days ago, I decided to make a series on the election, or inspired by the election. So part 1 covered the history of voter rights in Canada. I actually was able to dig up a lot of interesting information from Elections Canada's website. Part 2 covered, it was more of an opinion piece. And I talked about why every vote counts and why this is a really important election. Just a lot of stuff going on politically. And part 3 was just some more resources and information about voter registration, accessible voting, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. We're going to delve into that in just a second. But before we continue, I want to do some listener shout outs here. Ashlyn Eddy says hi, by the way.
Oh, hello, Ashlyn. It's good to hear from you.
So, you just mentioned. So, what was the one of the other reasons there that kind of got your attention there? Was it because of the whole? Was it and we will kind of was it because of, say, partly the Trump tariffs and the annexation talk? Is that what sort of kind of got you into kind of going into the whole thing of this is a important and significant election?
I think it was two things. So the first thing was in October of last year, because I live in British Columbia, for those of you who don't know, and we had a provincial election. And in my local riding, my MLA, which is our member of Legislative Assembly, he won by only 92 votes. And so there was like a lot of really close results, and I was like, oh boy, voter turnout is kind of low. I feel like people should be paying attention to this and saying, hey, votes actually, every vote does make a difference. And then the second thing was, yeah, the Trump tariffs, just I feel like we're very divided as a country and as the world politically. Like, just a lot of people who have very different opinions, and it's a really stressful time right now, and people should be voting for our prime minister. It's just, yeah.
No, you know what? I'm always of the opinion and the perspective that it doesn't matter. And I've always been, if anybody ever were to ask me, I always would say, yeah, just get out there and make a vote. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to like any of them. Just go ahead and make a vote.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Because that's what a lot of people, because I've heard some feedback from people when I posted my series, and some people were saying, well, I don't vote because none of the candidates I like or respect. And it's like,
Yeah,
that's understandable. But at the same time, you have to pick the best option.
yeah, and you mentioned like we are kind of divided here, but how do you see things kind of getting back on track? I mean, certainly, is it a case where our leaders need to do a little bit more to get things back on track? Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think we're, in a sense, we're a little more united than before because with Donald Trump putting the tariffs on our country, and he's basically decided to have a trade war with the rest of the world right now.
Yes, he has.
That's what it seems like. And
He doesn't like
it's
anybody.
nice to see people. No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's been nice to see kind of the stuff about like, oh, let's support Canadian businesses, buy Canadian, elbows up, like all that stuff. So that is kind of nice to see people uniting around that. But I think there's a lot of differences of opinion on like how do we solve the problem. It's like, do we think that Pierre Poilievre and his party, do we think that their policies to strengthen our economy are the best, or do we think that Carney and like his experience, do we think that's going to be the leader that's going to serve us right now? Like, yeah, seems to be.
What direction do you feel of that, though? Like, what direction do you feel in terms of that? I mean, if it's like, I feel personally, which is kind of the way things have been kind of handled, I feel that might be that Carney is certainly has his messaging is resonating with people.
I think it is with with some groups of people. It's hard to really, in my opinion, it's hard to really know what messaging is really resonating, because in the polls, and if you just talk to people on the streets, that in Carney's messages seem to be resonating. But if you look at Pierre Poilievre's campaigns and everything,
Yeah,
he's got packed crowds, and it's so I decided to go to someone that I know wanted to watch our local candidate speak, and the room was so packed. At one point, you had people lining up outside the door to hear him speak. They could barely like hear through the door. It was like, so the Conservatives are getting a lot of support, like it seems like, but then if you look at the polls and you hear from people on the street, Carney.
Yeah. Now, is it in your mind like because of is it because of this whole trade war that you feel the polls are sort of that the polls are leading in that direction?
I think the trade war has helped the liberals campaign a lot. You can agree to disagree on that, but
I agree with
I
you.
feel like I feel like I remember at least last year, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives were leading in all the polls, and it wasn't until this like external threat in Trump came along, then people were starting to maybe unite around the liberals, because some people were thinking of Pierre Poilievre as like having similar values to Trump, which I don't necessarily believe, but yeah.
Okay, expand upon that. Tell me the reason you don't believe that. And I've heard that too. I actually, I've had Catherine Swift on in the past, and she actually knows Polyev personally.
Okay, interesting. I just I think that P- Pierre Poilievre, his oh oh shoot, okay. We're having some internet problems again. Can you hear me still?
I can still hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think that the main difference between them is like Trump is willing to do extreme measures like he's deporting people. I was seeing something on the other day about he's deporting people that aren't even necessarily criminals. They might even be legal immigrants or permanent residents, deporting them to a third party country, El Salvador. Like, I think Pierre Polyev, like, I don't think he would do stuff like that. I think he thinks that we've been having too many immigrants, and I kind of agree with that. But I don't think he would go so far as to just start deporting people left and right. And I think that um, the Republican Party has some like really extreme views. Like some of them are like pro-life, like anti-abortion. They want private health care, and I've looked through the conservative policies pretty thoroughly, because I'm like, I want to make sure that if I do decide to support them, that they have the same values as me, and they're not in favor of private healthcare. They're not in favor of abortion. So I think Trump's views are a lot more extreme.
Yeah, and certainly too. And did it like, like I mean, I sort of felt that it had to do with the reason that the liberals were sort of dipping in the numbers there. That I felt it was because Trudeau kind of held on too long, even though he saw the slip.
Oh, that's yeah, that was yeah, I think yeah, he was clearly unpopular, and yeah, that reflected the polls, but
Yeah, it did because I think I felt where it sort of became one
I'm
of
here and
the
endorse the conservatives or anything. But some people think is that the liberals have the same MPs, pretty much the same cabinet. The only difference is that Mark Carney is our prime minister. So I feel like the policies would be similar.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. I mean, because, but certainly though, where the difference can be made is that Carney has the economic experience where he comes from with his background of being the governor of the Bank of Canada as well as the Bank of England.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I can see why, like, during this time when, like, during a trade war, during the time when our economy is not doing great, like, he would be someone with the right kind of expertise to, so that's I can see why people are kind of putting a lot of their support behind him for sure.
Yeah, and I mean certainly like but I mean, and there are also there's also a bit of a notion out there as well that that Polyev has a hidden agenda. What do you say to that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, there are a lot of people also saying that Polyev has a hidden agenda. What do you say to that?
I don't know much about that. I don't really agree with that, but I mean, I haven't seen any evidence either way to say that he does or doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting because like there's all this comparison to there's a comparison there between him and Trump. There's a comparison going on. So you basically feel that it's not that based on what your research tells you that it isn't that it is not something to be concerned about because he is not like Trump.
I see where they're coming from for sure.
So tell us about some about also about
sakes.
voting accessibly, like
This is interesting.
pardon?
I normally don't have internet issues.
Oh yeah, yeah. No worries. So about so like when it comes to voting as a blind person at your local polling stations, what accommodations are available? Well, I mean, let's sort of
There's a
kind of
lot,
go there. Well,
Allie.
what if you can't read? What if someone doesn't read Braille or large print?
Pardon?
Now, what are some options that are available for voting as a blind person at your local polling station? What if somebody cannot read Braille? Are you still able to hear me?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of options. I am. I'm really sorry. This is a learning experience.
No problem. No problem. You're good. You're
Go
good.
to someone's internet next time. But
No. You're good. You're good. Don't worry.
Okay.
We'll keep working with it. How's that?
Okay. So there's a lot of for sure. Yeah, so there's a lot of options, and depending on whether you use large print or Braille. So for those who are visually impaired, they've got magnifiers with extra light that are available, and voter screens that don't have a like top on them, so they let in extra light, and large print lists of candidates, firm grip pencils, or you can use your own. Large grip pencils. And then for those people who are totally blind or Braille users, there are tactile voting templates, Braille lists of candidates, and can use signature guides for if you need to sign any documents or sign your name. And for those people who need that, they can ask for a voter in lieu. So you can ask for a support person, someone you trust, family friend, to sign your ballot on your behalf.
It sounds good. So So what about if you cannot, like, so those are the options, and so if you can't read Braille basically, or don't read Braille, then your options are you can have somebody help you mark it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only option I saw, unfortunately. And yeah, but I know apparently internet online voting exists. I did not find any actual cases where it had been used. I don't think they're going to be using it in this federal election. So yeah, just having someone mark your ballot.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I mean, I knew it was available. I know it was available on the. I think it was available in the 2022. They tried it in the 2022 Ontario election. I don't know, but I think, of course, we were just coming out of COVID times that year anyway, so I can see
Yeah.
why they did it.
There's also would be concerns about like security on the internet if you're casting a secret ballot, like is is your connection to the internet secure? Is the site where you're voting on secure? Yeah.
But one of the yeah, but a lot of those government sites though, like they could make it like a government site, right? Where it would just log you out after a period of inactivity.
True. True.
And I'm always like see a fan of that as well. Like I always like the options there as well. Of yeah. I mean, the bottom line is it's important to vote and kind of going with a sense of if you're indirectly like voting, like if you're voting for indirectly for a candidate, you're sort of technically like in your riding, you're technically kind of voting for that party as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how our system works is you're not voting for your prime minister, you're voting for who you want to represent your riding in the House of Commons, but yeah, which I think confuses some people as well, or can confuse people.
What are your thoughts on electoral reform?
I think I think it's a great idea in principle. I'm not sure how they would be able to follow through with it, like having proportional voting or something. Um, more accurately represent like what Canadians are choosing, like who they're voting for. Are so I don't know if that means that parties would just select their say they get a certain number of seats. I don't know if they would just select who do they want to represent them. Yeah, I'm not sure how they would make it work logistically.
Yeah, I think it'd be, but I mean, certainly though, it would. I mean, there are some ideas or benefits to that electoral reform. I mean, currently it uses the first past the post system currently, and which it's been used for a while now, for, but yeah. Okay, so I got a message. I got a message here that you're having some internet issues. So just see if you can refresh and come back in. Yeah, those on the live stream, just hang tight. Oh, there you are. Can you hear me?
We appear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
There we go. We did it. We did it. There you go.
Yay, we're back.
We are back. So then basically so like I think it's an interesting sort of system, right? Where you can kind of, where one can kind of cast the electoral reform piece. I think it's kind of interesting. It's been going around a lot these days.
It has. I remember first hearing about it in 2015 because I believe it's one of the things that the Liberal government promised. But I'm curious. I don't know if before this. What people talked about before.
It's very, very like it's kind of been an interesting piece. It's been like an interesting sort of piece. So I mean, but is this going to now, whichever way this election kind of goes, are you like me expecting that this is going to be a rough sort of like this is going to be a very interesting next 4 years?
Absolutely. I mean, as long as Trump is not think that there's like amount that he's done in the last couple of months he's been in office. So yeah, regardless of how the election goes, yeah, it's going to be a very uncertain time. And I mean, I've heard rumors that he's even trying to change the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Yeah. Like he's very anti-constitution. That's his thing. He doesn't really care.
Hope not.
Like he's very anti-constitution, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's yeah. Like if he's able to do it, then I don't know. Like it should have been created in a way that people can't just change it on a dime because it's such an important document. But yeah.
Well, the reality. Yeah, no, but the reality has also been that he's sort of been given that sort of power to, do what he wants, and everybody, and you know what, I think Bill Kelly I felt Bill Kelly kind of put it best on his podcast, that it's run, but that there is no Supreme Court. There's really no like Congress or anybody running it now. It's the whole thing is run by the mega people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a scary thought.
It is, and like I mean, the reality of it all. Like I've also felt too that this tariff war that he's trying to create, or that he has created, I should say, it's And I read a piece just actually before we came on air here that it was in the USA Today actually that there is evidence to suggest that he's trying to unwind this stuff, his whole tariff mess and everything that he's just created.
Oh, really? I mean, I guess if he does, I didn't hear that, but I guess if he does, I can see why. I mean, the stock markets have just been crashing
And
since
that's why, yeah.
the trade war's begun. Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, even right, and the Canadian economy isn't great either, and it hasn't been great for a while, because if you look at how low the Canadian dollar is, like in
Yeah,
comparison to the
100%.
US dollar.
It's mhm. Yeah, it was already low before the trade war, but now it's
Yes.
I feel like it's dropped even more.
Yeah, I mean, it was hovering around 69 at one point. I think it's gone a little lower even.
Mhm. Yeah, last I heard was like 68, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, but
It's crazy. Yeah,
go ahead.
apparently the value of metals has also decreased. Gold and silver, he's decided to tariff those as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I certainly I don't really. It's a very scary. It's an interesting, but it's a scary situation. It's an interesting and scary situation. Yeah, and now I should ask. I'm going to ask you the big question though. That do you
Mhm.
feel that our leaders have it in them, and and will they, or are they able to do enough in your mind to protect our sovereignty and stop Trump from annexing Canada?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's a
feel
very
like
good
the
question.
best I feel like the best thing we can do as Canada, because we can't control what they're doing in the States. The
No,
best thing we can do, yeah. Best thing we can do is strengthen our own economy, strengthen our own military, and like whatever Trump throws at us, we have to be ready for it. And whoever, whether you believe that the liberals are going to be able to do that, whether you believe that the conservatives are going to be able to do that, yeah, we can't see the future, but the best thing we can do is strengthen our country, and that's why it's so important that we all go out and vote and pick the person who we want to lead our country and make it stronger and better.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's the same messaging I have. Is let's get out there and vote on April 28th.
Hmm.
Or, if you prefer, head out to one of the advance polls and cast your vote.
Yeah, the elections. Canada's got the list of advance polls. There's you can vote on election day. There's also an option if you choose to. If you find your electoral office in your riding, you can actually cast a special ballot. The only problem with that is you have to spell your candidate's name exactly. If you misspell it even by one letter, your ballot is void and they can't use it. So I wouldn't really recommend doing it, but you can if you have to.
Yeah, just go to one of your polling stations and all that information can be found at Elections Canada, elections.ca, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I've actually, if you'd like, I can send you a couple of links. There's a voter information service I found, information on accessible voting, and you can include them in show notes or something for
Why not?
people.
Yeah, feel free to send them. Feel free to send them to me.
Yeah, I will after we get off.
Yeah, after we are done off the air here. Yeah. So
Or after we're done, yeah.
yes. Now, is there something here like, and I'm going to give you this opportunity since it's been a while. Do you have you sort of thought of any sort of question, anything you wanted to ask me in terms of how I post the podcast and all that good stuff.
Sure, but the first thing I wanted to do, because it kind of touches on voting, is I'm
Yeah.
curious to kind of get your experience, as someone who's voted in a few elections now, as a voter with a disability. Like, have you found your experiences to be positive, negative?
Well, I found two things. I've always had someone go in and help me with that. And number two, I have found it to be a positive experience because one time, like, because actually in the Ontario election, which was less than about a month, a little over about a month ago, a little over a month ago, I had asked them that can you like for the like can you is do you have any can you provide me with accessible something to vote accessibly, and they say, oh, you know what, let me look into that, let me check, and this is new to me, and they sort of got the Braille piece out, and they got the Braille with the Braille candidates, and I thought it was very interesting that she was just willing to learn and find
Yeah,
out.
for sure. That's been my experience with like Elections Canada and Elections BC as well. As like a lot of them don't necessarily know much about accessible voting, but they're like, "Oh, I'll look into that for you."
Yeah, but
I
it's
did
not.
have one experience where
Yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I did have one experience where I believe I asked for a Braille voting template, and I was provided with the candidates list, which was great, but yeah, so just um yeah, when you're asking for stuff, I find if you like look on the website, look at the terminology they use, and be like specific about what you're asking for.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Yep, absolutely. Yep. It's always good, like, see, because it's not something that they're really asked a lot about when people go to vote.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not, and especially for someone who's new or who hasn't worked for Elections Canada for that long, and yeah, they're kind of learning. You're almost teaching them in a way, because it's like, yeah, these are the services you offer, and how can you set that up?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. So, did you want to ask me anything about how I do do the podcast?
For sure, actually. So I was just curious because this live stream's got a lot of like interruptions and things because my internet was not cooperating. So do you normally edit the live stream before you post it, like in the video form?
No, the live stream is what it is. The live stream the live stream is what it is. So I will kind of go
Mhm.
in and just look after the audio piece. Now, in terms of the audio piece, there won't be too much, because in the event, and this is one of the beauties of Riverside, is that
Mhm.
when a dropout occurs on either end, what it does is it stops the recording on their end, but whoever's still in the studio, the recording keeps going. So, and then when they come back, and then when you come back, it's as though the dropout didn't happen.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's great.
And if the person drops out, you
So the
wouldn't.
audio when there's just one person in the studio,
Oh, can you repeat that? It broke up there.
oh no, sorry about that. Uh, yeah, yeah, what was I saying? The audio, when you're just one person in the studio. So is that audio not used then?
The audio is used. The audio is used, but if a person if somebody drops out, right? If like which um the recording keeps going on my end because I'm still there, or whoever's still here. The recording goes on their end, even if I drop out. The recording will keep going, and the person wouldn't know, and you wouldn't know that the dropout has happened. It's as though it didn't happen. So everything is just kind of seamless, just catches itself up.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool. Another thing I wondered about was how do you typically get guests on the podcast? I know you reached out to me, like just by a private message, but how do you normally kind of get guests in for your show?
Oh, I reach out to them. I reach out to them I reach out to people on all platforms.
Hmm. And how do you kind of select guests for like, oh, this person's going to be good to talk to at this point, or this person knows a lot about this issue? Like, what's kind of your process for like kind of selecting guests?
Well, I generally go by what's going on and what I want to talk about, and who's knowledgeable in that area.
Hmm. That makes sense.
You
And I
know, so
noticed that you started.
oh, you notice that I started.
All right.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, you were saying you noticed that I had started.
You started this book talk book panel.
Yeah. So I've always had this. I always wanted. I always wanted to also do a books panel where, because in addition to my news and my sports and everything else, I also love to read. So I figured, because with the panelists, I figured that there are about four of us who come in and we talk about about books and things like that, about each book. That each person picks a book, and it's everybody reads it. We all read it, and we all kind of dissect it.
Okay, that's great. You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen the CBC show Canada Reads?
You know what? I don't. I have heard of it. I haven't taken a look at it, but I have heard of it.
I just started watching. I was going back and watching old episodes last month, but each they have 5 celebrity guests on the show, and each of the 5 guests picks a book by a Canadian author. They all read the selections from all the guests, and then they come on and debate the books. And so it sounds kind of similar. The main difference is that every week they vote a book off of the show until there's only one left.
Oh yeah, I always look. I like the Canada Reads list. I always like to grab it, and I also love Audible as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's a
They always
lot.
have recommendations and stuff, which is sorry.
No, I enjoy it. You know what? Like I enjoy. You know what? Like I've got a lot of stuff, even in my wish list, and it's like, and I've got a whack of stuff in my library as well. And you know what the thing is, in that Audible, they've also got there's also some good podcasts and things in there as well.
Okay. So do they only have, I don't really, do they have just Audible originals on there, or like other podcasts as well?
There are Audible originals there and some exclusive stuff as well, but also now any podcasts that are in the Amazon Music podcast directory are also available in the Audible app now.
Oh, that's cool.
So as long as it's been uploaded there, as long as it's been added to the Amazon Music directory, the Amazon Music podcast directory, all podcasts are also they'll also be available in the Audible app as well.
Okay, wow. That's really cool, actually, because then if you are going to Audible for your podcasts, there's a lot more like content on there for you.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it as well. Like I said, this concept is great. I love. I mean, I'm already there for my books and originals and great courses material. I'm already there. So I was like, why don't I just add all the other stuff there as well?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a bit. Go ahead.
Because I've noticed, you're on a lot of different. Yeah, because I've noticed you're on a lot of different like podcasting services. You're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, the main ones. I feel like you're on others. It's kind of cool. Like if you've already got content, like you said, you just can figure out how to upload it to the other platforms, and then your listenership is just going to go up.
Oh yeah, and see, and how that works too is all I did was that as long as your RSS feed is on those is in those directories, it will update every time you post. Every time I post publish an episode, it will automatically appear in those directories.
Oh, cool.
And you also probably noticed I made a recent change with that as well, with the RSS feed as well. You noticed at one point I was using Spotify for Podcasters, which was known as Anchor at one point.
Yes, I did know that.
No, you probably noticed I made a change.
I don't think I remember. Maybe if you pointed it out to me, I would be like, oh yeah.
Well, what I did recently in March was that I updated so what I did was I moved everything to the website. I imported all the episodes that were in Spotify for Podcasters and imported them into the website. And now I just post everything to the website. And they are, of course, it is still available. It is still available on Spotify and all those other platforms. But it's just that not as the host. It's there. It's now everything is on the website now. So it's all connected to the website. And you can still listen on those platforms as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, but that makes sense. Just like what we were talking about earlier is, I think before we were on air, is just getting everything come back to the website so that just more centralized.
It streamlines everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Lily, this has been a very important topic of why is it important to vote, to exercise your right to vote. And I appreciate you joining me for this very important conversation. And let's do a show again. Let's share the mic again real soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, why not?
And thank you so much for letting me come on and talk about this.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, perhaps after the election, we can sort of, we can talk about what your findings were, if you'd like, after the federal election.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Yeah, let's do that. And I'm back tomorrow, which is April the 7th. What are some of your favorite songs from the last several decades? And what are the Junos and how did they go? I'll be joined by Eric Alper from that Eric Alper show to discuss this. and that will be live at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that episode. It's going to be fun. Trip down music memory lane, probably.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff. There's lots of music, lots of stuff.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching Broadcast Map. To learn more about the show, please visit broadcastmap.ca. While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email address and hit subscribe right on the homepage and at the bottom of all Broadcast Map posts.
Oh, we nailed it. We nailed it.